So I'm delighted to be here to talk to you today about getting the most out of the Plant Toolbox. Let me just pause for a moment to tell you what the toolbox is, what it's all about. The Plant Toolbox is just that. It's a tool to empower consumers to make good choices when they're selecting plants for their gardens. And we include in the toolbox, we're now 4,685 plants in the toolbox. And these are plants that are typically found in Carolina gardens. Now that includes both the intentionally cultivated plants and common garden weeds. We also include that in the Plant Toolbox. And we define gardens rather broadly because we also include a lot of houseplants as well. In fact, houseplant pages are very popular and get a lot of hits. So that's what the toolbox includes. What it does not include, and what the toolbox is not, is a comprehensive listing of all the native plants of North Carolina. It's not that. We include lots of native plants that are cultivated, but it's not a comprehensive list of all native plants. Likewise, it's not a comprehensive list of all possible cultivated plants. There are plants that are cultivated in the US, but not in North Carolina, so they're not necessarily included here. Then if you think of things like all the thousands of orchid hybrids that many orchid enthusiasts here in North Carolina might have in their collection, we can't include all those hybrids. So that's what it includes, and so we're heading towards 5,000. We're not there yet, but we're adding more plants all the time, so we're including as many plants that are commonly found in North Carolina gardens as we possibly can. So let me then start on some of the ways to use the toolbox, and probably the ways that I suspect all of you are familiar with is using the search. And the search is up here in the upper right. There's a search box here down in the center on the home page, but of course once you get out of the home page you lose that. It's the same search, obviously, but this bar, this gray bar up here under the header, this goes with you everywhere you are in the toolbox, so you can always find the search box up here, and you can search by common name or scientific name. I encourage you to use scientific names whenever you can, because you know how common names, different plants can share the same common name. So you can search by common name, but you might get more than one hit because more than one plant may share that common name. But if you use the scientific name, you'll get just exactly what you're looking for. So that's searching, and I'm not going to demonstrate how to search. I think we've all done enough internet searches to know how search boxes work. But I do want to mention a couple of things that are sort of down here below the fold, and that's the help page. And the help page is very useful. We have a glossary, and we have lots of new additions to the help page. The glossary here, you can click on that for a glossary, and that'll give you illustrations of some of the botanical terms that are used in the descriptions in the toolbox. But if you go down, scroll down, we've added a lot of short video tutorials now. So we have a 2-minute video tutorial to search for plant names, a 1-minute video tutorial for using the quick plant lists. And we're adding these short tutorials on specific topics all the time, so check back. Or if there's a specific topic you think we need a tutorial, let me know. I'll be happy to make one. So we've added a lot of those things. And we have a lot of other general information, like how do we determine if a species is invasive and should be designated as such. So those things are in here. The new USDA hardiness zone map is here. How to use photos. These link to written text, but I'm actually getting ready to do a video for how to use the photos. So anyways, that's the help page. I encourage you to explore that, and maybe that should be your first go-to if you ever run into a question. Now, if we go back to the home page here, the next thing I want to mention are the quick plant lists. And again, these are sort of below the fold here. Quick plant lists are over here on the left-hand column. And these are lists of plants according to what we have here, and you can click on it and you can get a list of all the North Carolina native pollinator plants that are in the Plant Toolbox. That's a popular one because native pollinator plants are popular. We've teamed up with Audubon to list plants that are bird friendly, and bird friendly means produce food for birds like berries, humming flowers for hummingbirds, nest sites for songbirds, or plants that host a lot of caterpillars that obviously birds would feed on. So that's what bird friendly, kind of in that general sense, means. And then NC State plant introductions. These are plant introductions that were created here or selected here by NC State. And so 46 plants, and these are all NC State introductions. So I encourage you to have a look at the quick plant list and explore those there's our list of invasive species. So you can explore those at your leisure. So now I want to go back up here and show you a way of searching by tags. And the listings we have in here in the Plant Toolbox all have tags, and tags are basically just short search words that we can use. So we could, for example, we could say we want plants with red flowers, and you type in red flowers. The first part is here, these are plants that include that tag, but then you go down here at the bottom and there's the tag. It says red flowers 200, means we have 200 plants with that tag. So that's one way of using tags for searching. A more interesting way, and a way that I encourage you to take advantage of if you're an instructor, is you can make lists of plants for your class. So for example, we have a list of plants for HS 302, that's the course number, and that's what we use as the tag. And we have 180 plants that the instructor has chosen to, which are used in this class, and I assume this is Hort Science 302. So if you're an instructor and you have a class that you want to have a curated list of plants, we can do that by using a tag just like this. Late last year, we added the therapeutic horticulture tags. And so if you type TH, and then you can, if we scroll down here, TH smell, TH sight, TH taste, these return, again, curated lists of plants that can be used in therapeutic horticulture. They can be used in children's gardens, demo gardens, things like that. So if we do TH touch, this is a list of plants that have interesting textures and are used for therapeutic horticulture because of their textures. So that's how we use tags, and we have over 1,000 different tags. We try to make them sort of intuitive, so things that you would think of, like red flowers. That's fairly intuitive. And we hope that in the future we can actually have a glossary of our tags, so that if you're wondering what a tag is used for or what tag to use, you could actually see the glossary and have it defined. But that's maybe for the future. I'm going to spend a little more time now over here at this Find a Plant feature. And this is, again, up here in this gray toolbar over here at the left-hand end. And the Find a Plant is probably the most powerful search tool we have on the Plant Toolbox. And when you click it, it automatically returns the entire contents of the Plant Toolbox. So we now have all the plants in the Plant Toolbox, and then you can apply filters. And the filters are all over here in the left-hand column. We have quite a number of filters, and you have to scroll down to see them all. And the Find a Plant will allow you to find a plant very specifically for a particular garden or particular setting, or with a particular garden style, or a particular habit, all those things you can use to filter. And so I'm going to take us through an example. And I'm going to start with these cultural conditions. So these are in this kind of top box here in the upper left. And we're going to start with a garden that's here in the Piedmont with acid soil in full sun, fairly common conditions. So we can say the NC region is Piedmont. Now, unfortunately, it returns each time. I can't click all three filters and have it return, but we've now filtered it down to 2,903. Soil pH is going to be acidic. We'll click that box, and we're filtering it down even more, and then we're going to click full sun, and it defines full sun there, right there, for 6 more hours. So we're now down, we've gone down to 1,424 plants that would be suitable for a garden in the Piedmont on acid soil in full sun. Now, obviously, that's still a lot of plants. We want to filter it even more. So let's say we want, we're interested in growing bulbs, so we can scroll down here to the whole plant traits, plant type equals bulb, and now we're down to 49. Let's say we want flower color red, and we're down to 16. And at this point, you could then easily click on any of these listings to see photos, read more about the plants, and decide if that's what you want to if any of these are what you want to use. We've got it down to a fairly reasonable number of 16 plants. Now let's say we change our mind about bulbs. We don't want bulbs. You can simply click the green tile here, which is the filter, and remove that filter. So now we're still looking at a Piedmont garden on acid soil in full sun with flowers red, and of course we're now up to 214 plants, and we could say, well, what we really want is a ground cover, for example. So now we're back down to 14, and again, that's a reasonable number you could search through, and you could even add more filters to it and narrow it down, perhaps even more. So that's.
Oh, I was just to say
Yeah.
quickly while you're on this view.
Yeah.
Show folks the toggle up at the top, how they can see this list view or the grid view.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for reminding me. That's over here in the display toggle. And right now I have it on list view, but we can toggle over and you can see it in grid view. And that's just personal preference, whatever you like to see, however you want to use it.
Thank you. That's one I didn't realize was there for a long time until I saw you show it, and I'm like, I love that.
And I always use list view. I don't know why. It's just again, my personal preference. Okay, so you know, and you can play with these filters. We have so many different data points here, and what these filters are working off of. Each plant, each listing, for example, has something like, I don't know, over 90 different data points that we collect for each plant. And it's these data points that are being analyzed here with these search filters. So that's the database that it's working from. So anyways, you can use these filters to find plants for a particular site, and you can be very specific, and it will give you some ideas and allow you to pick plants that are well suited to that particular site. So I encourage you to use the Find a Plant. It really is super powerful and will really help you find plants very quickly that will fit your needs. I'm going to go back to the home page because I now want to talk a little bit about design galleries. And the design galleries are, right now, they're sort of a work in progress. The design galleries are collections of photos from gardens, and they are meant to show you how plants work in the landscape, how plants can be used to solve particular design problems, how they can fulfill a function in a landscape, and how plant combinations can work in a landscape. I'll tell you right now, not all our gardens, our design galleries quite live up to that high bar, and I'm going through them. Actually, I've been going through them over the past couple of weeks, renovating them and getting them in kind of a new format that's easier to read and has more information. Our design galleries are not very well searchable at the moment. We do have some searches over here, some filters that you can apply. And so let me show you how you can search the design galleries and show you how the design galleries relate to the listings that are in the Plant Toolbox. So let's look for a shade garden. We want to see examples of shade gardens. So we're now down to 31 gardens. We want the landscape location to be a small space. There it is. And we want a plant that attracts butterflies, for example. So we can down here to attract butterflies. And that narrows us down to 4 gardens in the gallery that are landscapes in small spaces that attract butterflies and grow in shade. Now the one I want to talk about is the Sun and Shade Demo Garden from Buncombe County. I actually have that already opened up in a new tab, so it didn't have to load. I should have done that for some of the other ones. And this shows you the new format. The new format, instead of just a narrative, now gives you these sort of highlighted points, the name, whether it's open to the public, where it is, and if it is a public garden, does it have an address, does it have a website, the hardiness zone. We're in the process of updating all of these to the new 2023 hardiness zones. Whether it's an extension demo garden. I know there are a lot of extension demo gardens that don't have listings in the design gallery yet, and I encourage you, if you're in charge of an extension demo garden, please contact me. Let's get your demonstration garden here in the design gallery where it can be a demonstration garden 24/7. And then we have narrative here about what to look for, special features, and then if there's anything special about the horticulture regimen, whether it's has a drip irrigation or a deer-proof fence or whatever. You'll notice the link here to a public garden map, and I've actually already opened that. This is an interactive map that, oops, I didn't mean to zoom there, sorry, that has lots of different ways of looking for gardens, and we have all the extension gardens mapped here, and here's the Buncombe County demonstration garden, and there's the pin on the map. It tells you the address, a phone number, the county, and right there is the link that links back to the toolbox page in the demonstration gardens. So the map is really great, and I really encourage you to use the map to kind of explore your area if you're looking for something to do on a weekend, or if you have visitors in town and want to see some gardens. This is a great way of seeing what's nearby. So I encourage you to use the map. But if I go back to the listing here, you'll notice we have a diagram or a plan of the garden. Not all our design galleries have that. This happens to have a plan, and we're happy to include it. If we have a garden plan, we'd love to include it, but it's not required. But if you scroll down, then here are the pictures from the garden, and you'll see that each garden picture has many of the plants. We'd like all of the plants, but at least many of the plants identified. So here is this pink and pink flowered plant with gray leaves. That's Silene coronaria. And if we click on that, that takes us right to the Plant Toolbox page for Silene coronaria, and you can read more about it, see more pictures. And if we scroll down on that page, here are the design galleries that include that species. And there's the Buncombe County demonstration garden. So if I continue on, I want to show you something else that's on the species page. So we're on the page for Silene coronaria. We have some of the cultivars. There's a white flowered cultivar, etc., a double flowered one. There are the various tags that this plant has. Here are the attributes and the cultural conditions and various other aspects of information. But if we keep scrolling down to the very bottom of the page in the lower left is the QR code. And this is proving to be really useful. In fact, we're finding out people using it in ways we didn't even anticipate. This QR code takes users to this very page, to the Silene coronaria page. And what we're finding is that people are copying this code and putting it on their signs that are in gardens. So if someone's in a garden, they can use their smartphone, scan the QR code on the sign, and get all this information. Because you couldn't put all this information on the sign, but you could put a QR code. And you can copy this QR code just like it is any picture here. You just right click it, or if you're in a Mac, it's what control click in a Mac. Right click it in a PC and save image as, and it saves it, downloads it to your computer, and then you can use it as an image file and stick it on your sign or in a brochure, anything you want. So I encourage you to make use of the QR codes. They're really super easy and helpful. Another thing I want to show you how to use are the photos here. And the photos, these are all kind of curated lists or curated groups of photos, and they all have a Creative Commons license, that CC license. And that means you can use them in accordance with the CC license for your presentations, for your brochures, anything that you need to use. The CC code here, this will actually explain it if you click on it, but by means you have to include the photographer's name. So JJ Harrison is the photographer here. SA means share alike. That means if you use it, you have to allow other people to use it as well. We have NC meaning non-commercial, ND meaning no derivatives, meaning you cannot modify the photo. You have to use the photo as it is. And if you want to use it, again, you just right click and save image as, and it'll save it as a JPEG file that you can then use in your brochures or on your signs, whatever, in accordance with the license.